Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how all service-based businesses are the same and why that's a good thing. We're going to go down into what our company did in the very beginning, how we were yes men, how we didn't have a proven process, and what it looks like now to have a proven process to attract, qualify, and convert more leads, and how you as a service-based business can do this as well. Inside of this training or inside of this podcast episode, we're also going to give you a link to a free training to go through. That way you can actually see the exact process we use with our clients, and you could implement this today so you can save time and money. I hope you enjoy the episode.
This is the Marketing Natives, providing actionable ways to grow, improve, and succeed in your business. And now, your hosts, Christian and Aaron.
All service-based businesses are the same.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't?
No.
It really doesn't. First time I read it, I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Well, I think it doesn't make sense, especially in the very beginning, because we're like unique and we're different, and like nobody has the same type of marketing agency as us, or the same service type business. But really, I think we are the same. I think one thing that's happened though is the more people that we've talked to, the more that their businesses are just like ours. And it doesn't have to be the same. Like we have a client who's a financial advisor, and his process is pretty much the same thing as us. He's doing a webinar training. We're doing like an online training, and he gets leads that way. But his big thing has been to do like a workshop or to have people who refer him, and he comes in and they fill out a form or they qualify. He qualifies them, and then he meets with them, and then he provides the service to them. Like that.
So we're talking about the fundamental process of service-based businesses getting clients is the same.
Yes, exactly the same. But everybody I talk to, they think that theirs is completely unique. Like they have to go and recreate the wheel. Their purpose is to, hey, look, everybody did it this way for whatever reason, and we want to, and I think one of the things that's on our wall right now is challenge the box. And they were like, let's go against the beaten path. Let's go this direction, which I think is good when you offer something a little bit different. But that process is the exact same. Like the goal is to find somebody who likes you, to make sure that it's a good fit for you and for them, and then to turn them into a customer and make them satisfied. And hopefully they tell other people.
Absolutely.
So all businesses or all service-based businesses are really the same, I guess.
When it comes to attracting, qualifying, and converting leads.
Yes. Which, yeah. So, and I guess attraction could come from many ways. Like this part of it could be unique for each business. So we could do it through social media. We could do it through a podcast, but regardless of how you do it, that process they have to be aware of you. Nobody's going to buy a website from us if they don't know who we are. Mm-hmm. They have to be aware of us. And then they're going to give us some information, and we're going to say, okay, this is great. We're going to do a website for you. Or they're going to give us some information. We're going to say, hey, you're not a good fit for us, but we're going through that exact same process. And I think that something to realize for ourselves is, as we're talking about this, we've done the same thing too. We tried different things where like, oh, well, we had no real agency background experience, so we didn't know what to do necessarily, but we're like, okay, well, this is the way we should do it because this is what's worked before for us. We never really experienced anything differently. And I don't think our process has necessarily changed in the sense that this is the 3 ways to get somebody to become a client, like attracting them, qualifying, converting them. That's still the same, but the methods to do that have gotten better just because there's smarter ways to do it. Like we don't have to rack our brains around finding new ways to attract people or
well, I would argue that the qualifying part wasn't there at the beginning.
That's true. We talked to anybody. We wanted every business.
We would say we were yes men. We said yes to everything, anything. It's
yeah.
Like, you need a 40-page e-commerce website? Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a landing page that converts at 90%? Yes, we can do that.
How? I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it ended up giving us I guess it could help if you did really well with them, but like if you do so many things in different ways and you don't become like an expert, or you don't feel good about it, then you get into that. Like I never really had that, but I know that we couldn't have it, but like the imposter syndrome. And I feel like a lot of business owners, a lot of people who are doing things, they get imposter syndrome because they're like, well, I'm not really good at this thing. But it's like, wait, you're comparing yourselves to building like a 40-page e-commerce site, and then you're building a landing page. Like those are completely different. Converting on a landing page and an e-commerce site, they're similar, but they're not the same. So now you're gauging yourself based off of like two things that weren't successful. Let's just assume that they weren't successful. So now you're saying to yourself, okay, great. Now I'm not a good designer, or I'm not a conversion, creator or something like that. When really probably are, you're just not playing in the right game, or you're not doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that's what's not the sexy thing to do. Like, why would you do the same thing over and over again? Because it's more fun to like play outside of the box and
right. Or why would you do what Jimmy Joe is doing down the street? And I think what we're saying is that those core principles are the same from company to company, from service-based company to service-based company. These things carry over, whether we're a marketing agency, or whether we're electrical company, or
right.
plumber, or an accountant,
right?
These sort of pillars, right, follow through. And like you're saying, what you can be unique on is, your delivery. Some of the you put in here like principles versus tactics, and I think those tactics is some of the things that you can tweak to your advantage and make that unique. But these principles are the same, and they carry over every single business.
Yeah. And it also makes it like for example, like we just started adding like our onboarding process. Like we're still going to attract, qualify, and convert people. Great. But after that, the unique thing that makes us better could be like our onboarding, or again, like you said, the end product. So everybody goes through the same process, which is nice, I guess, and encouraging too, because you can relate to people and you can say, hey, look, I know what you're going through. When you make $250,000 a year, these are the problems you're going to run into. And if you're making $500,000 a year, here's the other things that are coming around the corner. And that's why people hire business coaches. They're like, well, you don't really specialize in my area. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. Here's the things that are going to come up in your business when they get to this position, because the principles, like you said, are all the same. So it's like, it doesn't matter about the product. It doesn't matter about the service is what we're talking about. It's literally like, the price point or the quality of the customer and your process that you go through. So I don't know. I think it's been more eye-opening for us to realize that our business is so much like every other business. And that's a good thing, because we can learn from all the people who have been doing it for longer than us and who are ahead of us, and we cannot make the same mistakes.
Exactly. I think we were so focused on, trying to figure out that marketing or agency model to a T, versus what you're saying, which is, just learning from every single business owner out there.
Right. And whenever we were like doing our training, so there's like to figure out your exact customer avatar so that you can go through this process. And one of the big things is like your struggling avatar, or like your customer has this problem, your unique solution, the way that you do things, that's what makes you different. The process is still the same, but like the unique thing that makes you different, that's what helps you bring your customer to that other side. And I think that's what we finally have figured out, is that like our process internally is like our process is called the Lead Accelerator. So we have like 3 steps and we've documented it. And it's not that other people don't do something similar. Maybe it is. We have different nuances, but it's like a written down, standardized way to get people to the same result. So every time you put in a dollar, you're going to get $2. Instead of trying to say, well, what if we put in $1.25 a little bit later? Or what if we put in 50 cents now and 50 cents later? Will we still get the same result? It's like, no, like let's just do the same thing over and over and over again, which is that unsexy work, or the boring part of business. But boring, what I'm realizing anyway, is that boring is what grows businesses. It's those little minutia things, the nuances, or the same thing over and over again, that's really like working that muscle to make it successful. All right. So anyway, like I want to walk through our Leads Accelerator process and like explain, and maybe it'll help somebody else out as well, which is the first step that we have is figuring out exactly who your customer is. And we created a something we call the Content Messaging Foundation. It's like just questions, very, very specific questions to find out who our customer is, not only their demographics, but psychographics, and really detail and dive into like what are the customers caring about, because we can't run ads to people we don't know who are running ads to. And I think that we've been a victim of that before, or we've made ourselves victims of that, is where we just ran an ad and we're like, it's going to this group of people, but it's not really speaking to them directly. And it doesn't speak to them. And that's what's great about social media, at least specifically for what we do, using like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, is that you can get so targeted on who you're going to. So that's the first thing, is we figure out the avatar, their customers, and we figure out their numbers. What are their goals? What's going to happen if we hit these goals? What happens if we don't? How are we going to do that? And then that second step is more, I guess, the fun part of things. And this is where everybody should set up something like this, which is, okay, let's create the content. That's good. But you have to have really good content that speaks to your audience, which is part of that first step. But then the second part is to automate this. So how can you run an ad that continuously runs to the right people all the time? And then how do you get them to take the next step to where they apply, which we now have a really nice way to have people apply for our Leads Accelerator program. It's like, let's qualify these people. And as they're taking the quiz or the form, I guess, that they're filling out, they qualify themselves anyway. They're like, oh, this isn't for me. I found out this isn't what's going on. And then we also get the information now, and we don't sit down with everybody. We stop doing like what you said, the yes man mentality. And then lastly, the tracking results, which we are getting better at. I think we have our own KPIs in the company now, which, you know, we're 4 years old, almost 5 years old. And we had, I won't say we didn't track every number. We tracked financial numbers, but we didn't track the other things like followers on social, like Instagram followers, YouTube subscribers, email list, website traffic. Like I think we had a general idea, but we didn't really track it as tediously as we should have. But that's that third pillar, is to just track results to make decisions that you can in your company. So like that's the process that we created. And like I said, if somebody else probably has something similar, it's unique to us and what we offer, but
those principles are the same, probably.
Do it.
Those principles are probably the same from
they just may do it like in a different order, or I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's why I guess we're in a unique position to help other service-based businesses, because we've done it and now we've helped other clients. It's like, it's the same thing. So now you can adapt these steps for yourself, which is really good. And I'm looking at, I said it now, it's like, it's been 4 years. So I guess the consequences of not implementing this now.
Well, trial and error. And I mean, we did an episode on failure. So
yes. When was that? Like last year?
The failure? No, like a month ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Well, okay. Well,
when I was in Lubbock, I think.
So, okay. That was, I didn't think last year. I was thinking like a couple months ago, but we're in the midst of Corona right now. So my timeline is we're in June of 2020 recording this, but last week to me was March. So it's, time is flying ridiculously fast. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's definitely a good podcast to go look at, I guess, and talk about. I was thinking more so of like, I guess I was thinking about the recap of the end of the year for last year. And we talked about successes and failures there. So I thought you were mentioning that, but I do remember that podcast, but I still thought that was like a month or two ago.
Yeah, I think it was last month.
Okay. Well, either way, yes. But so I think that, and that's good. That's a good podcast too, just because you learn a lot more from the failures. I think that's the premise of what we were talking about, is like failing more makes you more successful than the success does. So you should definitely go check out that episode if you're wondering, like, hey, I keep failing at things. Why is this actually a good thing? It's probably a good listen for you. But more so, I think that if you continue to fall into the trap that you're like a unique business and that you have to carve your own path and you keep going upstream, or you keep trying to go down a direction that somebody else has not gone, then it's going to be harder for you. But more so, it could potentially hurt your business. It could slow down the growth. It could limit you on the amount of time that you have and resources. Because if you're spinning your wheels like what we did in the very beginning, I mean, we were working, I don't even know how many hour days, really, because like your brain doesn't really turn off the business. So 14, 15-hour days. And you can't sustain that for forever. And so eventually you quit or you find a solution. So it's like, why waste valuable time and years doing that when you know that there's a solution right in front of you? So I think maybe it's a pride issue or a pride thing. I don't know if it was a pride thing for us or not.
No, I mean, I feel like we had this mentality of carving our own path and doing things, this unique way. And like, the fact that we didn't have background of, a real marketing agency or anything like that. And we had this just vision of, we do things differently, right? We're brand new and we're not like the other guys, right?
Right.
We practice what we preach, and like, I mean, some of those things, they're true, and I think has helped us into what we are today. But I think, like you've been saying, it's like what we've realized is that every business is going to be the same, right? These things have to happen from business to business, and I think I keep going back to that failure episode because we are in this point today because of those failures, right? And having that mentality of like, yes, like we're special and we do things differently and all this stuff. When in reality, like we just needed to get organized. And when we got organized and we figured out like, oh, we have these 3 steps, and then we look around and it's like, oh, wait, everyone's doing all these 3 steps, right?
Yeah.
They might have like a 3.8 or maybe 4 steps or like whatever. But those 3 fundamental things every business has to do.
Right. It's that focused mentality too. I think we were scattered for a while. And I think we're still figuring that out. So I'm not saying that like you're right and we're wrong or we're wrong and you're right kind of thing or anything like that. I'm not saying that. It's more of it's a learning process to realize that we should just be focusing, which is kind of ironic because we're talking about it now, which is figuring out the profitability for services. So like, should we only offer website design and social media marketing, or should we only offer like this many websites per year? Should we only take on this many clients? Should we only take on this type of website or this type of client? Like, we don't know that. So I think that's like the next step. Like once you get organized, then that next step is allowing you to take different, this is something we couldn't have talked about 8 months ago. We couldn't have talked about the profitability because we wouldn't have been organized enough to say, okay, well, this is the types of services, the only services we offer. So I think the biggest thing is that it's just going to cost you a bunch of time and money and resources and just frustration if you just don't create this process and realize that you can still be unique, but don't get away from the principles in your business for that.
Yep, absolutely. So let's say there's a business that wants to learn more about this process, this core fundamental principles. What can they do?
So the best thing that you can do is, well, when you actually recently finished it was a 40-minute training. It's actually 38. We re-recorded 2 minutes faster and more efficient, better sound and video. Nice. But it's a 40-minute training on how to attract, qualify, and convert leads. And it actually has everything that we do with our clients. So it has our Leads Accelerator process in there. It also has the fastest way to grow to 6 figures and beyond. And it also has how to find your exact customer avatar, which is really, really, really good information. That's the best feedback that we've gotten. People are like, oh, I can finally figure out who my actual customer is, because most people are like, they just don't have a clue. So I would say grab the free training. It's going to be in the show notes. It's also going to be in the description of YouTube videos or Facebook, wherever this is at. There's going to be a link in there. And check it out. It's going to be really, really important. And just give us some good feedback on the video. Like I said, it's 38 minutes. It goes through the exact process that you can set up in your business. I hope it's 38 minutes of well-used time. That way you don't have to spend years trying to figure this out and wasting time and money and resources. So that's probably the best thing to do, is to go get the training that way.
Sweet. I think that's it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out our latest videos. If you are on our podcast, make sure that you also go over to subscribe. And if you've been listening to us for a while, please make sure to leave us an honest rating and review. This helps us grow on the platform and reach more people. And if you want to connect with us more personally, we're on Instagram and Facebook. That's probably the best places to connect with us, to chat one-on-one. And to just talk about the business. But like I said, we'll have the link for the Leads Accelerator training in the show notes as well, or in the description. Thanks, guys.
The Marketing Natives Podcast is a production of BitBranding.